Fair Share came as an opportunity. A number of organisations expressed an interest, and those organisations had therefore, probably some of them for the first time, to think about what they were doing in the long term.
There have been a number of projects grant funded in the past 6 years, all of which have been aimed at the 3 priorities: reducing crime and antisocial behaviour, improving the health and well-being of children and young people, and improving community cohesion. This film focuses on just 3 of these projects and really hopes to demonstrate the impact and the legacy that quality community projects have on local communities in Blackpool.
The Blackpool Football Club Community Trust has actually been able to use the funding from Fair Share over a 3-year sustainable period to make it worthwhile for around about 60 young people. So those 60 young people have not only got qualifications and additional training plus valuable job experience, but they've also in many cases gone on to full-time employment as well.
At the beginning of it, I had no confidence, I had no responsibility because I got kicked out of college, and basically my general day was waking up at stupid times and going to sleep at stupid times. Plus I was also in a rough patch because my family member died, and it just sent me just rock bottom basically. And then the Fair Share came into my life, and from there I've gained different aspects, got more confidence, got more responsibility because I have to wake up for something, and it's just completely changed my life around.
It's provided opportunities for young people who either for their own reasons weren't sure about what they wanted to do next, or in some cases didn't have perhaps the best qualifications to be able to go on to higher education. So what we've looked at is the opportunity to just add to what they've already got in terms of qualifications and provide those pathways for them to go on to better things.
My job now is a football coach. So the Fair Share brought me into football. I went around different schools, teaching from the ages of 4 to high school kids. It got me the experience of what work was like. My life at the start of it was rock bottom. Now I'm on top of the world. It is just kept me going. I have a job. I have a big responsibility. I'm also an ambassador of a charity, and without the Fair Share, I'd still be asleep right now in my bed. It has been hard work, but now I'm at the point I'm going to go further. I want to be a manager of a football club. Through that, I've got to go all through my qualifications, which I'm at my level 1 at the moment, going to do level 2 in September. My mum and dad can't be more proud.
The Community Trust's best project for engaging with youngsters in particularly disadvantaged areas is our KICS project that we work with the Premier League and the Metropolitan Police. We've been working at Revo for about a year now, and with the Fair Share support that we've had, we've been able to set up a new project at the Sports Barn, which is just underway and in which we are engaging with youngsters in that area.
I was I think I was 18, just left college, just signing on, wasn't doing much with my life. Got offered a chance to go on the Fair Share programme, didn't know much about it, 16 weeks volunteering, got involved with it, sports coaching, really enjoyed it. So going on the Fair Share and getting qualifications that I gained from that has got me onto a job with the Community Trust, and now I'm working with KICS, which is paid work, which means obviously I've got a job, got a lot more money to do things as a young lad. So yeah, it's improved my life massively. I'm really glad I've done it.
Well, Fair Share is an important part of Blackpool FC Community Trust. It helps the potential coaches get qualified to become employable coaches with all the relevant qualifications. And since Stevie began on the Fair Share, We've got him down with kicks, and so far he's been really good. I've only got good things to say about him. The young kids, if they see somebody that's a bit more their own age, a little bit cool, and especially with Stevie living in the area and being young, the kids can identify that, and they can see Stevie as more of a bit of a role model.
I wasn't much when I come out of school, didn't have the best of grades, went to college, did all right there, but came out, didn't have a job. But now I've got paid work. I think I'm quite respected around here now that everybody knows me. I think it's a good job to have, being a sports coach, because you are a role model. So I think some of the lads look up to me, and hopefully they can do what I did, and they don't have to think that because they're not the best at school, that's it. They've got to sign on forever, or it's been a dead-end job. That you just stick at things and have a go at different things, get some certificates, qualifications. You can be like me and get a good job doing something that I really enjoy. It's not just a job; it's something I enjoy. It's like a hobby, football.
I think the biggest lesson learnt for the Blackpool Community Trust from our association with Fair Share and CVS has been that we know that there is a demand amongst young people for us to provide this sort of training and experience to allow them and to encourage them to go on to better things. We thought about how do we make this sustainable, because there's such a vital role to play in encouraging these youngsters to go into what we specialise in, which is recreation and leisure. We've got a number of active and worthwhile partnerships, for example with Blackpool Council and with NHS Blackpool particularly. In addition to those partnerships, we work very closely with Lancashire Constabulary, the Community Safety Partnership, local housing associations, people who invest in local communities like the ward councillors and forums. And we've been able to create new projects which actually encourage new employment opportunities for the young people. So not only are we creating employment opportunities in the longer term, but we're also looking at replicating the training programme that we had with Fair Share.
I made an application for Fair Share funding because we'd had a load of antisocial behaviour in the area. The police were just giving them all ASBOs and they were wearing them like trophies. So I told them, look, I don't want to call the police because they don't do anything. Come back to me when you've all grown up with a piece of paper with a list of what things you would like to do. And 2 weeks later, I had 10 of them at the door, including the gang leaders, with a big list of about 20 or 30 things on what they'd like to do. So we invited them in, sat them around the table and told them we'd work on number 4 and number 7. And I don't know if you think we're having a laugh or whatever, but they said, yeah, all right, love, whatever. And they went, and we started to work.
All right, okay. Whose birthday is it tomorrow? Celtic. How old will you be?
We found the place where we could use was where we are now, the basement of Revo School on Grasmere Road in Blackpool, and we found we could rent it for £10 a session. We could do food there. We could do arts and crafts. It helped to pay for an outreach worker from Bernardo's to bring arts and crafts to us. We taught the aspect of healthy eating because the kids made their own food. Trips, we managed to take 2 separate groups of youngsters to London, something they'll never ever be able to do. And basically just show them that we have the time to listen. At the beginning we had maybe 6 or 7 kids, and then it went to like 10 and 12, and now we've got over 100 kids a week coming in through the door.
All the kids I've met since coming here, you know, they all enjoy it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. My daughter comes twice a week and it's great. We can both get involved in activities together, and plus it mixes her and myself with all the kids and parents in this area.
I thought it was great for the community, so I decided to help like 1 night a week.
Well, I was a volunteer last year, but I had to stop because I've got a child of 5 and I couldn't come because I didn't have childcare. But then you approached me again to be a volunteer and you dropped the age of the kids that could come. So I became a volunteer and I've been every week with my daughter.
Well, I started Bugs to Butterfly because in the 6 weeks holiday, when you're at home and your parents need a break, instead of being sat at home doing nothing, you can come here and be with all your friends.
I used to dread the 6-week holidays, you know, because the kids would be off, because you always knew there was going to be trouble.
Where we live, there's nowhere really for kids to play out, and you see them at 8, 9 o'clock just roaming the streets. At least this is a focus where parents can bring the kids down. It's 3 times a week. So it just gets them off at the street and gets them mingling with all other kids in the area.
Give children a chance to really express themselves, and instead of getting children on the street, like what Taylor said, causing bother, it gets them into Bugs to Butterflies and to make them more healthy and to make kids really, instead of hiding themselves in, like if, for example, if they got bullied and hiding themselves in, you can always come to Bugs to Butterfly because and get confident.
Since it started, it's actually been quiet. We've had no problems, no more balls hitting the window, and no fighting in the streets, and no kids hanging around on the streets. It's good. It's really good.
I can go to work and know they're safe, getting looked after, they're enjoying themselves, not hanging about a street, not getting into bother.
You have day trips out that they probably wouldn't ever get to go on. It's, you know, it's a poor area around here, so the trips that you have out is affordable for most parents, and you know, what little kid don't want to go on a trip to Camelot or anywhere like that?
I like it at Bugs to Butterflies because they take you on loads of trips and it's dead cheap, and it's fun because you get to meet loads of new friends.
They actually behave so they can go on these trips, they behave so they can come to the clubs. You give them certificates for things. I don't know, rather than probably having nothing to do and feeling punished, you actually make them feel part of the community and give them something to aim for.
I've been coming, I think it's about a month, something like that, and I really enjoy it.
I just think if they didn't have the club, they probably wouldn't be as good as they are.
When you've had 80 youths outside your house and they've painted your car to magnolia, and there's birds come in that have got bits and pieces knocked off, and you're sellotaping your letterbox because you don't want a firebomb to come in, and you're coming in the back door because you don't want anyone to know you're in, and you've got the noise abatement officer sat in for 6 months every weekend for 5 hours and you can't do a damn thing. I think it makes you you either give up and move, or you try and make a difference. The little boy that causes all the hassle, he was 9 at the time. He's now coming up to 16, 17. And he does say, if it wasn't for you and Colin, I'd be in jail like my sisters and my brothers, and I thank you. And if you just have one, then it's brilliant. And plus, we can live safe in our neighbourhood. My door can be open 24/7 and nobody touches us. And that's the difference that the whole thing has made.
Well, Falco's Women's Aid is a local charity, and since we started we have used volunteers. But as we've grown as an organisation, we've not only recognised the need for more volunteers to be involved, but also we were getting more interest from people wanting to volunteer.
The Fair Share funding has really allowed Falco's Women's Aid to build capacity through volunteering, that just by appointing a volunteer coordinator, that's had a massive impact on retaining volunteers and on volunteers helping women, and then in turn those women coming forward and becoming volunteers.
They've come from being a survivor or victim, whichever people want to call themselves, to moving up to be a volunteer and then to actually work for us. I think that is the massive achievement, and that is, I have so much admiration for women that do that.
The Fair Share project of Falco's Women's Aid has helped me tremendously. It's given me the confidence that I've needed within myself. It's made me feel a worthy person. Working on the helpline has really given me the confidence, and especially when you know that you're helping women continuously who are in desperate situations and reassuring them women. It's such an overwhelming feeling to know that you've contributed to them making positive changes in their life for themselves and the children.
We have all different kinds of people who volunteer. Some of our volunteers are retired, and some are young mums who are looking to get back to work, or perhaps students who are looking into a career into health and social care.
Well, with myself, because I'm at university at the moment as well, I've been there for a year and I'm doing health and social care, and this is the type of field that I want to go into. That's why I've gone back to university, and it's helped me a lot because it's given me, as well as learning all the academic stuff at university, just sitting there in lectures and getting taught, but it's so different when you actually come out and you're learning it on a day-to-day basis at work.
We have been particularly successful in running 3 open sessions, drop-ins for women in the community. Without the Fair Share funding, we would have been able to continue these drop-in sessions for women because we very much rely on the support of volunteers to run them.
The Fair Share project at Blackpool Women's Aid had a great impact on my life because I had no self-esteem, no self-confidence, I had a fear of men. So coming, I was able to build and find strength. I ended up being more positive, and then I attended obviously the recovery programme, obviously after a few months of attending a lot of the group drop-in sessions, and it was a fabulous experience. I gained more self-esteem again, my self-confidence just grew, and I was able then to focus on new goals and new ambitions in my life.
For quite a few months I was in denial that I actually needed any help, and after a few months of my ex-partner not being there, I was still wondering why I was so angry and crying all the time, and I decided one day just to come to the drop-in, and just off the cuff I came to the drop-in, and for the 2 hours that I was here I did nothing but cry, but when I went away from the drop-in I felt so much better. And I couldn't wait for the following week to come back to these girls and open my heart out again, and then I could go away and deal with the rest of my life. Yeah, it's been a very positive thing.
FCWA have made the volunteer coordinator role sustainable by accessing further funding, which currently is from United Utilities, and that funding is over a 2-year period, which has allowed us not only to sustain what we originally had, but to increase that role. The biggest lesson learned from the Fair Share funding for FCWA is that volunteers are a valuable commodity for any charity or organisation, and because of that they have to be valued, and they can't be valued unless they have a person that they have one point of access that can act as their support, that can act as a supervisor, that can act as somebody that can share any issues with. And ultimately all those things put together would hopefully make the volunteer feel valued, and from being valued you would hope that they enjoy their experience as a volunteer, but also FCWA retain them as a volunteer because they are so valuable to the organisation.
I'm part of a workforce. As much as I'm only a volunteer, I'm still part of the workforce of the community and everything, and I feel really good for that.
I'd like it just to grow bigger and better. I'd like more people to get involved. I'd like to enable the kids to get involved in things they wouldn't try beforehand.
If it wasn't for the drop-in, I really don't know where I'd be. If it wasn't for Women's Aid, I don't know where I'd be.
Now I've got something to wake up for. Love coming to work every day. Love the smile on the kids' faces. And can't say bigger thank you.
We're not in direct competition with other charities in the sense that we have secure funding from football sources. So it means that we can actually work with the charities, and as a football club we're proud of the fact that we do what we can for all Blackpool-based charities and work with them as well.
Fair Share the name, for a start, it had an impact upon people. It was fair share about what? People asked the question, people were talking about the answer to that. And I think that was significant. And the long-lasting legacy is that a lot of us now, in terms of funding, talk about fairness. Whereas in 2004-05, we might not have been talking about fairness in the same sort of way. So I think it's brought a whole philosophy of fairness into our organisations and into the town as a whole.